Welcome back to the Mind and Money podcast. My name is Val Stratford. I am a financial planner.
And I'm Sherry, a financial coach. And today we're going to share some personal stories about the things we fucked up with our finances. Because it's important to know that even though we are currently financial professionals, we didn't always know what we know now, which led to doing stupid things. Like, we've all made mistakes. And I think being transparent is important so that you're not giving yourself a harder time than you should be for making mistakes.
It also brings a level of empathy to my client meetings because I don't come to the table as I know everything and I've never made any mistakes. I think a lot of financial experts do bring that air to that table and then bring judgment. And then that just amplifies guilt and shame. And then the walls just come up further, and opening up about the troubles that we might be experiencing then gets postponed down the road. So we have made mistakes. And I think it's what the universe probably actually led me into this career because of the lack of financial education.
Yeah. And I think it's common for a lot of people. Like, there's different areas starting to add financial education into like high school curriculums. Mm-hmm. It's still going to be very limited. So if you're not learning the ins and outs of finances and how to set yourself up for long-term success financially from your loved ones and the adults that are around you growing up, then you step into adulthood without knowing. And that figuring it out as you go was definitely a place that I feel like I lived in for a long time. And it wasn't until I got fired that it was a wake-up call to be like, oh, I need to learn more about all of these things. So one of my big money mistakes was not actually budgeting and actively managing our money before I got fired, because I was able to manage things. Mm-hmm. By things, I mean like large credit card bills every month by working my life away to pay those credit card bills. So I was able to work overtime to pay for large expenses. And my Facebook likes to remind me of the stupid shit I posted on Facebook. But it reminds me of some things like, oh, the washer went. Now I'm going to work Saturday and Sunday to pay for the new washer. So I was exchanging money for time because we weren't actively taking care of managing our money. We had a budget, but so many things were outside of that budget that were those bigger expenses that now we plan for, but before we didn't plan for. So the money was just kind of running through our hands and not being actively managed. So it's like putting the numbers down on paper. That's like, I'm happy if you've done that, but it's not budgeting. It's figuring out how to pay down debt consistently and not accrue more and get to a place where you're truly living within your means and having things that work for you to manage your money.
It's not easy to go from doing whatever you want and just surviving kind of to being more mindful, but it's so worth it. And I would say I also would write down different expenses and incomes and stuff, but I was not truly budgeting until I probably started my business and then really had to figure out fast what needed to come in. That would be one of my mistakes, was starting a business without a business plan. I just knew that I was done being at the bank and I wanted to have a different approach and energy in what I did, and going self-employed was the best route to do that. So I left the bank. It was amazing. I'm so happy I did. But there was a lot of stressful times because I not only was I leaving the bank, I was leaving the stability and the security, but then I was a business owner. And there was so much more to it. So glad I took that leap 7 years later. Would have done a bit more planning. Hindsight.
Yeah. And in hindsight, it's easy to look back on things and be like, yes, that was stupid. I shouldn't have done that.
Or I should have done that.
We don't have that information currently. So we just do the best that we can with the information that we have. And if it doesn't work out, we figure out how to not let it happen again. So that leads me into something I haven't done in a long time, but in my younger years, when we were first homeowners, buying furniture on credit, and even before we were homeowners. So I lived with my parents and then we purchased the home and moved into the home. And I bought so much with the store credit card. Like, they saw me coming, and it was a monthly payment for a couch, a monthly payment for a bed. And with the couch also came a free TV. And Like all of these marketing ploys, they saw me coming, they got my number,
Like,
and
we've got you, girl.
like multiple monthly payments for furniture. So like a bed, a dresser, an end tape, like all of the things purchased on credit with monthly payments before I even considered that you could like save up and buy things. And half the stuff I didn't even need because I just had one room at my parents' house and I thought I needed, well, everything has to match, right? Everything doesn't have to match. So thinking about all of those payments, and I can't even remember the terms of the loans. Like if I was paying interest, I'm sure I was, but I can't remember the terms of the loans because it's just like I wanted it. They gave me the card, I signed the thing, and they gave it to me. They delivered it to my house.
I think perfect. That can be a very general thing as well, is buying things used / mismatched / thrifted versus having to have things new. There are times and places where a new item makes the most sense because it's going to give you the least amount of grief, I'll say, or it's worth it because the price difference isn't that different. But the amount of things that you can get, like if I had thrifted my clothes when I was in my era of buying a ridiculous amount of clothes with my disposable income versus like I typically go for sales anyways, but still versus retail pricing.
There's so many options when you get more creative and think about, okay, I need this, but here's what I have, like resource wise, money wise, to be able to get it, and then you figure things out.
Yes. I would also say, again, it's hindsight, but there was an auction to buy a house in 2018 and it was $180,000. And I kicked myself a little bit for not purchasing that house, but it's hindsight. I didn't feel like I had support behind me. It was a big purchase that I just didn't feel confident in doing at that point, but I really wish I had.
Were you still at the bank then, or were you self-employed?
I was still at the bank.
So have you hopped on realtor.ca to see what comparables are now?
Gosh, it would have been a genius thing to do.
Not that I like salt in the wound, but
that's, yeah, no, I know that it would have, because it would have gone for like 350,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably at least.
So it is what it is.
Hindsight. And like, you don't know where you would be if you had, maybe that decision to purchase that home would have then ultimately kept you at the bank. So like, this is like different spin on it, that having that extra responsibility could have meant that you didn't, well, you felt even less confident taking the leap. So just maybe, it's hard to see what it could have turned into, but then also like the life decision, it gave you more flexibility to not have that payment. So, and I talked about this in a previous episode, but not saving any money when I was younger, not a penny, not 2 nickels to rub together. I worked a lot and I spent every single dollar that came into my bank account. I saved nothing. I spent like hundreds of dollars on jeans.
Yes.
And food for friends who didn't have jobs, and just, it was truly all disposable income, and I disposed of it all.
I have that on mine too. Spending an absurd amount of money on clothes and food when I didn't have to pay for groceries. I was still living at home. I should have really utilized my situation, but in the moment, instant gratification, wanted it, saw it, had the money, got it.
And it was probably what everybody else that was around us was doing too, unless they had parents that had like a thumb on them saying like, you're putting 50% of your income into savings. And if you have kids that are starting to work, or you are a young person starting to work, if you're currently making $0 and you start making $400 a month, like just put $200 of it away, and then you still have $200 where you had zero before. So you won't notice it if you start putting it away right away. And you can even, in a lot of situations, have employers divide your deposit. So half can go into like a checking account, half can go into a savings account, and you'll be golden down the road when you want to buy a car or buy a house or move out or whatever, go to school, whatever you want to do.
This one could probably be its own episode, but speaking about commingling finances with the wrong partner.
Oh,
so I was quite young, but we didn't join accounts, but I was making his truck payments. I was lending him money, just stuff that I wish someone would have said no. And it didn't ever feel right, but I was like, well, we're together, so I'll help out. But that was a mistake. That was silly.
And did he just not have like consistent income?
Correct. Yeah. Okay. And in jobs, would get fired, couldn't hold down a job.
Yes. Red flags. quite the same, but very similar. I co-signed a loan for my then boyfriend about 9 or 10 months after we started dating. So he didn't have the best credit, and I had good credit because I paid for all of my furniture loans on payments on time. Co-signed a loan, and it worked out fine because we stayed together, and he's now my husband. But it could have been so bad, and you like really, if something had happened and we hadn't have worked out, and he had financial challenges, like when you co-sign a loan, you basically are just as responsible for that loan as the person who's taking it out. And if they stop paying for whatever reason, it impacts you financially, and the lender is going to come after you for the money. So
you're on the hook.
Yeah, so it could have been so bad, but it was not bad because it all worked out.
Yes. So we sit here as financial professionals, experts that talk about the right things to do, and we've just to humanize ourselves. We've also fucked up. Like we've also made mistakes.
And on the house buying thing, one thing that we did when we purchased the home we still live in, because we have lived here forever. Again, with the like keeping up with the Joneses, we've just been comfortable staying where we are, and it's saved us a boatload of money. But at the time we purchased the home, and home inspections weren't as common then as they are now, but we did not do a home inspection, didn't have any like maintenance professionals come out to look at the place. And I remember the real estate agent distinctively saying, "Oh yeah, this oil tank is perfect. Like it's going to get you so many years." And then before the first year was up, we had the company that was delivering the oil, and we used the oil to heat our home through a furnace, but also our hot water heater. And they said, "Yeah, we're not filling that up again. So you're going to have to do something before the oil that's in this tank runs out, or you don't have heat in your house." So within the first year, we had to purchase a new furnace. So we decided to go new furnace and water heater to go gas instead of replacing the oil tank, which then the rules changed, would have had to been outside and all of those things. So I don't remember how we paid for that, but I know it was a big expense, and I know we didn't rent. I think we probably just put it on a credit card or a line of credit and then paid it off over time. I probably can't go back that far to see, but so not knowing what was coming down the pipeline because we didn't have those experts to look at the place. And maybe we still would have made the decision to buy, but we would have been able to plan for that a little better. Well, maybe a scooch better, because I didn't really know what we were doing then. So,
or negotiate it into the sale price.
Yep. So just being able to look at things big picture is just really changed so much from the time we purchased to now. So everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah. And it comes with life's experience to when you're thinking about life's curveballs, like it comes with experience and hearing other people's stories and going, "Oh, that could happen to me." Like, so just, give yourself some grace
and learn from your mistakes. Take it as a lesson to like, okay, I needed to learn this, and what could I do differently if something similar happens again? How can I plan for this and be more prepared? And also do the people that you love around you a favor and start talking about the things that you could have done differently and the mistakes that you've made. And I really believe that the more we talk about money and the things we've done or not done and wish we had or hadn't done, it can help those people around us, especially the younger people around us, because everybody learns different things or learns nothing about money, and being able to add those things in and share your knowledge, share what you've learned.
Yeah.
So cheers to your money mistakes, not making them again, and sharing that knowledge so that the people around you don't make them. And we're glad you've been here. We would love to hear any comments about your money mistakes and the lessons you've learned from them in the comments, or you can shoot us a message on social media. But we are glad that you've been here, and thanks for listening to the Mind of Money podcast, and we will see you next time.